Just remember, once we're live, don't say anything until the countdown. Ahoy! How's everyone doing today?
Ahoy!
Welcome to the latest edition, I believe it's episode number 13 of Digging a Little Deeper, the show in which we take a Disney attraction, we look at it on the surface level, and then we dig a little deeper. So we are digging deeper today on the one, the only world-famous Jungle Cruise, perhaps arguably the most beloved Disney attraction in the world.
Oh, look at that. He's got a hippo. He's got a whole menagerie.
Doing this in-depth discussion today will be myself, Doobie Mosley, co-founder of Laughing Place, my wife, Rebecca.
Ha!
Over there is Shelly, the other co-host of this show.
Oh, that's an adorable. What is that? The new Funko, or is that just a
It's
ornamental?
it's the new pullback toy.
Oh, it's a pullback. Oh, how cute! That's adorable.
And Ahoy Man himself, Jeremiah.
Please, I'd like to be referred to as Skipper Germ for this episode.
With pleasure. With pleasure.
Germ.
Before we begin, we would like to remind you to please make sure you subscribe to us, however you're watching us, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or the other one, Twitch. Very good, Gio. And if you don't mind, if you're having even a tiny bit of fun, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, like this stream. That helps so much. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with today's attraction. So much to cover with the world famous Jungle Cruise. Where to begin? Why don't we begin where it began, which was with Disneyland.
Woohoo!
It opened at Disneyland, of course. It was an opening day attraction at Disneyland, something Walt loved animals, of course. And he wanted an attraction where people could ride around and see live animals with a very serious script. And of course, that's what they built, and that's what remains to this day. And that's why it's become so beloved. No, actually, Walt did want live animals, and that did not happen because he learned that animals would be asleep all the time, and that's not a good idea for guests. So they quickly went with this new technology called, I don't even think they had a name for it back then, animatronics. But it was serious. It was serious, and it remained serious until I believe 1962, when it was serious with some light moments. Obviously, right. Even serious stuff. You can watch Die Hard. That's a serious movie. They still have some comedy, but it became just an all-out farce in 1962. So quick. You don't think Die Hard's a very serious movie?
I've not seen it.
Very serious movie.
Okay.
People die in Die Hard.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it's in the title. So there's Walt with one of his puppies. That was an inspiration for the hyenas of the Jungle Cruise, I believe.
Now, many years ago, my friend Kendra wrote this book called Disneyland Detective, and in it, she highlighted the names of the 7 launched boats.
Oh.
And she says the 7 original boats of the Jungle Ride were Congo Queen, Swanee Lady, Amazon Belle, the Ganges Gal, the Nile Princess, the Mekong Maiden, and the Irrawaddy Woman. And then she pointed out a few other ships were added, but what I thought was interesting was in 1967, one of the boats was rechristened the Kissimmee Kate.
Oh.
Look, the hint was right there. We should have known he was going to Florida.
Walt was foreshadowing. Walt was foreshadowing.
Since today is the 49th anniversary of Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World opening, it's good time that we point that out.
Dedication.
Opening. It opened.
Dedication.
Are you one of those people that said Disneyland opened on July 18th?
No.
Okay.
Am I being argumentative? Yes. Shall we talk about Epcot opening over the entire month of October? No.
Before we continue, so important. We're live. If you're watching this right now, we're not on tape, we're live. If you're watching it right now, but it's on tape, then it's on tape. But if you're watching right now as I'm saying this, it's actually live.
Yeah.
So that means you can participate. If you have any questions, if you have any favorite parts of the Jungle Cruise, we can put out there. Any comments,
tidbits of info,
favorite jokes, whatever, participate, please. Does this annoy you? Is this in your way the way it is for my son, Shelly? Let me get rid of that. There you go. That's better.
Gideon does not like it when the logo that was up there is any part of the screen.
So okay, so that's kind of the basic of the Jungle Cruise. Everyone loves the Jungle Cruise. So in '62, it went comedy, and that's when it became the attraction we love so much today with the backside of water and Dr. Albert Schweitzer and all of that. So Jeremiah, why don't you take it from there? Go for it. What are you shaking your head at?
Albert Falls.
Albert Schweitzer. Oh my! It's funny though. Watch a clip of the early Jungle Cruise. They say Dr. Albert Schweitzer, and it's even funnier now because they do. I've seen one. I saw one at the last expo. Yes. I think I saw one.
Okay, so the Jungle Cruise was actually one of the original designs of when Walt and Herbie Ryman got together and did the Lost Weekend. Is that the map or is that? I missed that book. I had that once upon a time.
Old pictures. This book is called.
You trade it for a pen?
You can just talk while I play Vanna while you talk.
I'm going to show a nice picture of.
There we go.
People landscaping the original Jungle Cruise while Jeremiah talks.
Yeah. But if you look back at the original map that Herbie Ryman drew to sell the concept to the banks, the Jungle Cruise was on the other side of Main Street where Tomorrowland is. When they started the construction for Disneyland, merely 1 year and a day before Disneyland opened, we can't even get an attraction open in a year anymore.
Can't get a restroom open in a year.
They relocated the Jungle Cruise to the other side of Main Street because they found that the trees that were behind City Hall worked as a great barrier. So they built that. And, if not for the Jungle Cruise, we would not have Disney's Animal Kingdom today.
I find that hard to believe. Why would you say that?
If not for the nature films that Walt won an Academy Award for, we wouldn't have the Jungle Cruise, which wouldn't have inspired Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Fair enough.
One of the things about the Jungle Cruise that everybody seems to skip, there's this whole urban legend that there was nobody that ever worked at Disneyland without a mustache or a beard until whatever year it was in the 90s where they started letting facial hair go. If you go back, you can find pictures of skippers that have mustaches on the Jungle Cruise.
That's funny.
Did you just say you thought that was the skippers on Storybook Land?
He's still bitter about the transition.
Storybook Land should
post.
be all females.
But
I was wondering about the mustaches on them. That was weird.
Moving on.
It's interesting. The Jungle Cruise gone through more changes than any other attraction. It seems like every couple of years they make some big change, or not necessarily huge, but they change the Jungle Cruise. Like I'm looking at a list here on Wikipedia from adding the gorillas in '57, changing the boathouse in '61, and '62 they made the huge changes with the Indian elephant baiting pool.
Hey, can we stop for a moment
Yes.
before you move on? It's hard for me to envision the Jungle Cruise without that bathing pool, right? Like going by and seeing the adorable elephant underneath the waterfall and the one that's trying to crawl out and then the mom and the seemingly mom and little one there. And it's just a weird thought that wasn't even a part of the attraction until 7 years later. 7 years later.
7 years later.
So it's very cool. But and another point about that attraction, I still every once in a while in my Facebook feed an image of that. I don't know if this happened to you guys. You'll have to tell me. That elephant underneath the waterfall. I've had a couple of travel companies use that as a image for why you should take a safari in Africa. It's like they share that and there's like, can you imagine seeing anything as joyful as a little elephant playing in a waterfall? Come, it is like a travel company ad and it's the Jungle Cruise. It's very funny. It's seriously, there's I'm not making it up. Travel company, safari ad, that image.
Well, one of the reasons that the comedy leaked into the Jungle Cruise was Walt Disney had Mark Davis, the one and only, the creator of Tinkerbell and Maleficent, two good characters. Go down to Disneyland and just take a look and see if you could add any comedy to it. And the Jungle Cruise was one of his main things. And then that's where we started getting the Lost Camp, the gorillas taking over, the low man on the totem pole.
That's what Judy's pulling right now.
That's a Mark Davis right there.
And, and Mark and Alice were global explorers. I think we've talked about it before, often traveling to some non-traditional, I would say, locations, places where they still had headhunter, like actual cannibal cultures and these types of experiences. They were incredibly fascinated by peoples and cultures and different parts of the world. And I think some of that can be seen in the detail that I think part of their love and their exploration of that is what has helped make the Jungle Cruise, connect with people. So yeah,
for sure.
Too much fun.
So in '63, they changed the Nile section, and 64, major improvement, the African veldt and the trap safari scenes, which again, much like the Indian elephant bathing pool, are so iconic. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine coming across the Jungle Cruise without that skipper saying, "Here's my favorite part of the savannah," and the big African veldt there with the gazebras and the gazelles and the gnu's and all of that. So that was in 1964. And then that was the last major enhancement, I believe, until 1971. It opened at Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, where it also was an opening day attraction. Was there ever any doubt that the Magic Kingdom would have the Jungle Cruise, Jeremiah?
No, it was a perfect fit. And especially, there are certain things at a Disneyland, especially going into the Disneyland television show, that was so iconic for the parks. I mean, we've talked about how Pirates was added 2 years after the park opened because Walt did such a good job of advertising it. I feel like Jungle Cruise was such an iconic, and still is one of the most iconic attractions that Walt Disney World needed. And the nice thing about Walt Disney World, as they said, Walt Disney World, they had the blessing of space. So they expanded the Jungle Cruise to include, Shirley's Temple there.
Now, one of the changes that I can remember, and I think it happened with the transition to with the
Indiana Jones.
Thank you. With the arrival of Indiana Jones, was the removal of these candy striped canopies. And I think this may have also been when we lost our delightful seat cushions. And I still miss them. But more than that, I miss the pattern where you can't really make it out on this picture too well. But if you look at a picture of a Jungle Cruise boat, like right near the entrance here, there's these two hooks. And for those of you who are very young, it used to be that they would have seat cushions on all the little chairs there. But the portion where you would step into the vehicle, they would lift up that seat cushion and slide it into those two hooks. And it would just sit there while everybody would board the boat. And then once the boat had been boarded, then that cushion would go down and then the individuals who were seated there would sit. I miss it.
Which brings us to our third Jungle Cruise.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. There's that perfect picture.
We're not quite ready.
I'm going to make you wait, Jeremiah. I'm making the executive call here.
I took the picture for a reason.
Okay, fine. Which picture?
Of the boat at the dock.
In which
Tokyo.
Place?
This one. I'm guessing.
Jeremiah, you have something to say about this picture?
Pad.
See?
Hooks.
There it is. You can see it. Look. Seat cushions.
I love when the comment comes up right over his head.
Yay!
Thank you, Jeremiah.
I remember the seat cushions. Yeah.
Sorry, that was the transition was too perfect for that.
Okay.
It's a love-hate relationship, right? They're delightfully soft, but on a hot summer day, you would stick to them.
They were
With them, yeah.
All right, so I'm feeling bad that Shelley has not gotten to say much yet today. So this is my first. We should have a segment. We call it the big question, where we ask a big question about the Jungle Cruise. So I remember going to Disney World in 1997, my first time. I had, of course, read all about it. This was pre-YouTube, so I'd never watched a video. But I was very excited about the temple scene. It's like, wow, it's like everything the Jungle Cruise has, plus you get a temple where you go inside and see cool stuff. Disappointing. Shelley, temple. Yes, no.
Oh, I like the temple. I love it. I love it. I really think that because since I went to Disney World before I went to Disneyland, it's always the reverse for me. Because I'm like, oh, there's no temple, like, but there's more like the barracudas and this and that. But I like the temple. I think it's a nice break from like the heat, and I really like looking around. And I remember when I first heard it with my daughter Zoe, and we went into the temple, she just kept ducking. And I'm like, why are you ducking? And she's like, I just want to be safe.
That's funny. Jeremiah, temple, yes, no.
Yes. But it's only because it expands the river, not because the Walt Disney World version is better than the Disneyland version.
I enjoy the temple because it allowed skippers like my brother at one point in time to do a ridiculous bit where they would have their lights on the boat and they would go, everybody look left, and they would shine it on the left. Everybody look right. And then they would get the one for them and they would, I'm standing in the spotlight. I just enjoyed that gag.
That is a good gag. Giggle. That's my problem with the temple is there's no gags in there in general.
No, there's plenty of gags. They do the root canal gag. My challenge with the temple, the one thing I don't like is there's that really high-pitched, eerie music with it, and I could do without that. Everything else I love about the temple. The break in pace, the beauty, yeah.
Well, let's just say, speaking of the temple, so Geo makes a comment. I say Geo because we're buds. Makes a comment about something in Tokyo is a little different in the temple. Have you been to Tokyo?
Not since this happened.
No. Shelley, have you been to Tokyo?
No, but I think I know someone who has.
Who? Really? Can we get him on the show?
We can. He's actually here right now.
Jeremiah, can you tell us
we'll do that
about the Tokyo version, and particularly about this temple he speaks of?
Can we really just make that bit like just a minute longer next time? I mean, sure. Can we phone a friend at some point? Bring like maybe Benji on?
We're making sure you have enough lead time so you have something incredibly eloquent and.
Oh no!
I'm just gonna stop talking when I start going on my walk and talks. It'll just be walking.
That was the reaction of Jeremiah when he saw the line to get back on the train from Conservation Station. In case you missed it,
where
okay,
where I stood for 20 minutes to get on the train to go back.
Back to Tokyo Disneyland.
The Jungle Cruise, of course, was an opening day attraction for Tokyo Disneyland, and it was very much a carbon copy of the one in Magic Kingdom, much like most of Tokyo Disneyland was when it opened. The biggest difference was their river is backwards-ish.
Is that because it's south of the equator?
Yes, because it flows backwards.
It is really different to see a video.
It's bizarre.
And like this, and then they load and well, nope.
Yeah, I sent Doobie a picture of the Lost Safari for that reason, just because it's not, the photo isn't flipped. It's you on the boat is flipped. So that's on your left-hand side where the U.S. parks are on the right.
That would mess me up.
It's so bizarre. It's awesome.
So back to the question at hand. A few years ago, Tokyo Disneyland went through and revamped their Jungle Cruise to make it more of a wildlife spotting type attraction. It's difficult because in Tokyo, that attraction is purely Japanese. There is no English translation. There's no options for English. So I have a great video on our YouTube of a full boat and everybody's giggling. And I'm just like, no, this is weird. But one of the things that they did was add little, I call them jujus because that's something that they did at D23 and at Disneyland a few years ago. And it kind of is the same thing where you spotted them along the river kind of as a game. They kind of peeled back on that as far as I could tell. But one of the things that they did do was go through and revamp the entire sound system on the boat and, of course, the temple. So when you're pulling into the African veldt and you see the lions protecting the sleeping zebra, as they say, you hear the circle of life music swell up. Yeah, so it's like,
Crazy.
"Ah," and I'm like, that's the weirdest thing. But when you pull into the temple, it is the dilapidated temple, just like we have here at Walt Disney World. But all of a sudden, the projection mapping hits, and the temple rebuilds itself, and it is amazing to see. And you just kind of go, "Wow, that was amazing!" And then you exit, and then it's back to the good old Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting. The lighting effects, they add a lot, especially in the evening. They have a lot more lighting effects, things like oversized fireflies or eyeballs, kind of glowing at you from the bushes. And as Jeremiah pointed out, day or night, you have a much more substantial score to the experience. But that temple transformation, that is pretty cool, and it's attached to like a storyline regarding like this animal spirits, and you beckon to them, and so yeah, very cool. I would like I would not be sad to see such a thing come to Florida. I am becoming a greater and greater fan of the use of projection mapping.
No disagreement. And then, so it was not put into Paris. Why, Jeremiah?
Because it gets cold in our hills.
Yep.
And it's not in Shanghai.
That's just because they don't have an Adventureland. They have their pirate area, and their Adventureland is more of they have a river ride. Raft river ride.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in Disneyland Australia or Texas.
No.
However,
I think it may be expanding in Disneyland Texas sometime soon.
However,
in Hong Kong, they do have their version of the Jungle Cruise. You can see there. And what are the, so again, I've not been to Hong Kong. I'm sure Shelley and Rebecca haven't been to Hong Kong. I have a feeling Jeremiah has been to Hong Kong. So what can you tell us about the Hong Kong Jungle Cruise, Jeremiah?
So Hong Kong's Adventureland, when Hong Kong Disneyland opened, their Adventureland was pretty much the entire left side of the park. But they don't have a Rivers of America or a Frontierland. Their Jungle Cruise goes around the island that houses the Tarzan's Treehouse, which is an exact replica of the one in Disneyland, which annoyed me to no end when I took the raft over and climbed the treehouse and went, this is exactly, but I digress. Their Jungle Cruise, because Hong Kong, there's many different languages spoke in Hong Kong. Yeah. Chinese, English, and Cantonese are three options you have. When you enter the queue, you get to choose which language you want.
How do they logistically? Are there three different queues or what?
Yeah, three different queues. I sent you one that has a picture of the. Okay, no.
He's not seeing. We're not seeing it, Jeremiah.
It was the English. There's an English queue, a Cantonese queue, and a. Why am I just
English?
Chinese.
Chinese. Thank you.
It's Mandarin and Cantonese.
Mandarin. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm like wondering what happened to my cool picture that I sent. But the English boat only runs like every half hour.
Okay.
So I was in line waiting for it for a half hour because it was the smallest language that was represented in the park.
So what is that? What is their ride most similar to? Disneyland or Magic Kingdom?
Disneyland, because it's very sparse. Think of riding like the Mark Twain or the sailing ship Columbia, where you're going around Tom Sawyer Island. That's how their Jungle Cruise goes. So you'll be coming around the river bend and you'll see the elephants off to the side of the river. It's not a massive river like ours or Magic Kingdom, but you see the animals, and when you get to the end, you anger a spirit that has fire and water. So the fire happens, and then the water flows down to cool everything off, and then you exit the boat.
It reminded me, like your comparison to the Mark Twain. It reminded me very much of like, instead of a river boat, kind of a southern U.S. riverboat, is like instead we were on a riverboat in a wildlife preserve kind of. It's a very very broad river, and you also have the tree house, and it's not quite when you get to the Jungle Cruise in the U.S. parks, it's like you've entered and then you aren't really that aware of what's going on around you. It's very much kind of in its own little biodome because of the walls of greenery, whereas this one it's more kind of.
It's huge. It's weird to see the Jungle Cruise in the middle of a huge body of water.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, very different kind of feel than the U.S.
So, question regarding Jungle Cruise. So the Jungle Cruise, like I said, I think it is in contention for the most iconic Disney attraction, period. It opened 4 Disney parks, which is not that common. Like even Pirates was brought into Magic Kingdom later. How many attractions have opened 4 or more Disney parks? There aren't too many. I know some have.
I suspect Dumbo.
Dumbo probably has at least 4.
Yeah.
Obviously the Railroad.
I was going to say Railroad.
But it's in pretty rare company there, being opening 4 parks. So I think I'm going to make a proclamation.
Oh yeah.
Oh, proclamation time.
The Jungle Cruise hereby is proclaimed the most iconic Disney attraction of all time.
Is it?
Let it be written.
Is it?
And it is so.
Can you stop it?
Well, no, I was just thinking of I feel like when they duplicate it, when people create jungle rides, they copy Disney's, right?
Yeah, they do. Because
it's like it defines the jungle boat ride, right?
So this young man says Peter Pan, he is wrong. And this young man says Small World, he is wrong. So I win.
Doobie, I just sent you a few more Hong Kong pictures.
How?
So
Slack. Okay.
Well, the Jungle Cruise has spawned a board game both in the 50s, the Adventureland board game, and then now you have the Jungle Cruise board game, because we were supposed to have already had
that
this
movie would have
film.
come and gone by now.
But now
Yes.
it will be coming in 2021, and
This-
if you are missing the attraction, you can have your little token pieces, and you go around the river collecting various items and passengers and trying to transport them to a destination. And as you do this, you have to draw cards, and the cards are right here. That's what I'm looking for. And the cards are right here. And at the bottom of each of the cards, as you play the game, they have a joke. Like, do you know why tigers are striped? To avoid being spotted. See?
Oh no.
Exactly. So as you play the game, you can have a lot of fun pretending to be a Jungle Cruise skipper and sharing some of those jokes that we've groaned at so many times while we've been on the attraction itself. And we played it as a family. It takes just about an hour. It's a very well paced game. So, just letting you know that's I bought this one off of Amazon. I know Laughing Place has done reviews of it too,
Yes.
but this is the one that I purchased for little old me.
It's a great game. So Jeremiah, here you go.
Because it was a must do for my family.
There you go. That
Okay.
is the front of the island, the boats leaving the dock, and then they go around.
Do they say the backside of Tarzan's treehouse at some point?
No, there's no backside of water either.
But
Well,
there's the line. There's the picture saying that. But I don't know if for you guys, but for my family, this was a must-do attraction. Whenever we would visit the park 3 or 4 times a year growing up in Southern California, and this was one that if it was open, we were going to ride it. Sometimes we would ride it twice, depended on the rest of the day. My dad loves dad jokes, so
I love good jokes.
It was right up his alley. So it was no surprise to me when my brother eventually became a Jungle Cruise skipper at the Magic Kingdom, and yeah.
So if these 4 classic attractions aren't enough, in 19 or probably 20 something, Disney. Be prepared, Doobie. Be prepared.
You had it written down right there.
Did I really?
2015.
In 2014.
Right? Okay.
In 2013.
do I hear 2012?
In 2013, Disneyland said, "You know what? People coming to the park at during the holidays, they have no interest in the Jungle Cruise. They've seen it before. We overlaid Small World. We overlaid Haunted Mansion. We overlaid Small World. Let's do the Jungle Cruise." So they created what?
Country Bears.
Country Bears.
Yes. Thank you. Let's do the Jingle Cruise. Gideon says 2011. He's probably right.
Well, but the thing is it didn't take on a full overlay initially. Initially, it was a change in script and then a couple of boathouse decorations. It really became kind of a full attraction transformation.
So you're saying we didn't get
after.
Incredible stuff like this until 2012?
Exactly. Well, I should say I think 2012. I just know that this wasn't a first year arrival. The Jingle Cruise one. See, versus Jingle Cruise.
Yes, sorry.
No worries.
Oh no, you're wrong. 2012 was what you said, and then 2013 it went full on.
Yeah, and so that's when you started to get things like a garland-clad elephant and the celebratory New Year banners,
the baby New Year elephant, and of course you can't have an attraction without an attraction poster.
So you had the Jingle Cruise poster with the elephant in a Santa hat, a wreath hanging from the boat, and the skipper having a candy cane.
Random.
And all these great pictures are, of course, from Disneyland, because here in Walt Disney World, we don't get that nice stuff.
I was so excited when I rode the Jingle Cruise in Disneyland. I got off of it and then I got right back in line to do it again. So I was like, I love the holiday overlays, but this one just like really just fills my heart with so much cheer.
So it did come to the Magic Kingdom, right? I mean, there it is.
Yeah. No, it comes to the Magic Kingdom, and I've heard Santa may be coming this year to the Jingle Cruise, but ours doesn't expand. Like, that is probably the biggest section that it is evident. In front of the temple, there's a parachute. That's by far my favorite part, the tarantula with the Santa hat. But, we don't have the garland on the elephants or the fruit cakes in the hippo bathing pool or any of that.
The hippo bathing pool. I forgot about that. That's fun.
So we've had 4 versions of the regular Jungle Cruise, 2 versions of the Jingle Cruise, umpteen variations as the years go on and changes are made. And yet the most unique way I ever experienced the Jungle Cruise was at an annual pass holder party at Disneyland in the mid-90s. I think it was 97 or 8. They've done it multiple times. And it's called, well, why don't you talk about it, Rebecca?
It was a Simba hunt.
This was the 96 annual pass.
Right.
My friend Scott, who found this picture, had the picture of a few of the things of that night.
Yeah, what they did was all throughout the Jungle Cruise, they hid various plush Simba, and then they gave us, as we boarded the vehicle, they gave us flashlights that we could then shine around as we were traveling the river and find these adorable Simbas. And Doobie is now looking for the picture.
I know you sent me this picture, and I'm sorry, Jeremiah. If you happen to have it handy, please send it again.
Did you send it?
I sent it to you.
With email, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It was in your email. But they had the So when the let me try to skip. When the hippo would rise out of the water, open its mouth. Oh, hey, there's a Simba. Up on Schweitzer Falls. Oh, there's a Simba. Various. They were all over the place. The one that we have in the image is with arts and crafts.
Art being the
right?
one on top, of course.
Yeah.
And then
there was Simba.
And it was a fun little interesting way to do it.
It was a neat event. They did that twice, as I recall.
Me too.
The hidden Simbas. And I think the second time they may not have given us individual torches or flashlights.
Torches.
They may have given us.
Yes, Peppa Pig.
they may have
Storm the castle.
Spotlights on the boat. So yeah.
Once again, Shelley, so quiet. You have anything Jungle Cruise you want to discuss? You want to
No,
start?
I just like listening to a lot of this stuff. Like, I mean, it's fun because I know some of it. I'm not as knowledgeable as like Jeremiah and y'all, but like the way that I look at it is, Jungle Cruise is just one of those things that when you talk about Walt Disney World, like you're saying, it's very iconic. But what I love is talking to people who are like, that's my retirement plan. I just want to be on the Jungle Cruise and tell dad jokes the entire time. And I would be lying to say that it wasn't one of my like goals. Because I would like when Disney did that whole, you could be a skipper, or you could be a Haunted Mansion, butler for a day. Like, that was such a cool idea to me. Because, I mean, how many of us haven't wanted to tell the jokes that we love so much? I know it probably gets old doing it on like a loop. But no, I just really have a soft spot in my heart for this one.
And obviously, some skippers get to be pretty well. I would say a few got pretty well known, but some skippers are particularly good, and people remember, oh, that guy was so great. I wonder if he's still there, and they'll ask for him. Obviously, Maynard at Disneyland has become, as famous as a Jungle Cruise skipper can get, and his Jungle Cruise is quite unique. But our last Jungle Cruise was at the Magic Kingdom, where we had someone named Wyatt, who was just, we talked about him on our last show. He was just special. His jokes were great. And we did him again. We went on the Jungle Cruise later and just happened to get him again. And he remembered us. And because of that, he changed up his jokes.
And we only know that because at the end we were like, thanks. We really had a great time. And he said, you guys were on my boat earlier today, right? A lot more of you though, because our party had kind of dwindled by that time. And he's like, yeah, that was us. And he's like, I thought so. So I didn't want you guys to have the same experience. So I switched up my jokes for you, which I just thought
that was really cool. And then Gideon went and told him one of his versions of his jokes that was really nice and he appreciated it. So anyway, it's one of the few attractions where the cast member actually gets to really, really shine through. And so you can, first of all, it makes it unique each time. Each cast member puts their own spin on it. It's not the same attraction every time. And you can kind of make a connection with the cast member as well. So just one more thing that makes the Jungle Cruise special and undeniably the most iconic Disney attraction of all time. It also has gone well beyond attractions. We talked about 7 different ways to experience it, but it spawned games, as Rebecca talked about. It spawned a movie that will someday be released. It spawned a restaurant. It spawned skippers putting on their own musical or show of some sort.
They have stand-up nights that feature just previous skippers all kind of band together and take over a club, and you can go experience that.
So the Jungle Cruise movie you talked about I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Starring The Rock and Jeremiah?
Emily Blunt.
Thank you so much. Mary Poppins herself. Coming out hopefully next year. It's supposed to be this year, but we're hoping next year. And the Skipper Canteen is the restaurant we talked about.
Go find that later.
I'm sorry, I missed. The Skipper Canteen. So I haven't been to the Skipper Canteen. When did that open? Anybody remember exactly?
Oh, when did that open?
3 years ago?
3-4 years ago?
2015.
Oof.
But the very end of 2015.
5
years. Yeah, December 2015. So I haven't had the opportunity to go, but if you guys want to talk a little bit about how they've translated that Jungle Cruise experience to a restaurant.
I choose Shelley.
All right. So it's really cool because there's so many little nods to the Jungle Cruise throughout the restaurant. So when you're waiting in the waiting room, you kind of feel like you're in the office of the expedition. And there's fun, pictures and furniture and everything. And then when you go in, you can pick up little cues all over the place. And when you walk in, you look up, I think, to your left, you can see some of the offices, and they have some background like sounds playing of the office. And there are just fun little things throughout the wall that throw to that, as well as to the Adventurers Club. So it's really, really cool. The menu itself has a lot of dishes that have kind of changed over time to represent the different places that you go during your jungle cruise. It's a lot of fun. I think it's one of the most underrated restaurants. I think it got a bad rap when it first opened because it was kind of out there as far as food goes. I mean, it's not your normal traditional like chicken fingers kind of thing. Had some really different things. Like they had a spicy steak sandwich that was like absolutely delightful. It's just I think that it's a great place to eat. Again, it's underrated, so it often has a lot of availability, and just everywhere you look, there are different things. There's like a little hidden library that goes back into the back room that has all sorts of fun names of the books. I mean, it's just jam packed full. And when you think you've seen like most of them, you've only seen like a quarter of the detail.
Yeah, some of the titles are humorous knocks on the in a way, because it's like, you know, the boat evacuation procedure by capsize, you know, things like this. You get a lot, you know, they further carry out the puns, and then they've expanded the story. You know, now the Jungle Navigation Company has been founded by Dr. Albert Falls. So we not have, you know, before this was always a kind of a joke, a pun joke towards the waterfall you were passing, but now they've actually, you know, kind of crafted this individual named Albert Falls for their storytelling. So in wandering, if you make a reservation at this restaurant, be sure to wander it a bit, because you will encounter little added story elements for the attraction itself and for the mythology surrounding the Jungle Cruise.
For sure.
Yeah. Sorry, when you walk in the waiting area, there's actually a portrait of Albert Falls and his daughter, who is now the proprietor, Alberta Falls. She's the one who's kind of transformed it all into what it is today. And then, like Shelley was talking about the hidden room, that's the C meeting room, which we're not going to go into C because that is a whole other 5-hour conversation that we could have.
I was just going to bring up C.
No, okay.
We'll have to do one of these just on C to let people know what that is. It's just a very quick thing.
Because my son brought it up.
SEA.
So my son brought it up, and he's a big fan of C. So Society of Adventurers and nope. What does it stand for?
Society of Explorers and
Adventurers.
Thank you.
E Explorers.
I thought it was say you, say me. Sorry. Say it together.
See
the way it's me. All right, Jeremiah, I'm getting your pictures ready, so you're gonna have to fill a little time. It only takes a second.
Yeah, the C is something that started in Tokyo, is expanded into the U.S. parks, both Jungle Cruise here at Walt Disney World with the Skipper's Canteen, and outside Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. Yeah, that's something that we could go into. One of the other things that the wow, that transition didn't flow that well. So one of my all-time favorite things, as you can see, I have a Trader Sam's, thank you. Trader Sam's shirt on. When Disneyland opened, or when Disneyland redid the Disneyland Hotel, they decided to open their own tiki bar, which was Trader Sam's. Sorry, that's just up my nose. I'll turn that down. So, and in Trader Sam's, which is I'm waiting for another one. Okay. Trader Sam's, which is themed after the head salesman of the jungle, Trader Sam, in Disneyland. There is a statue of Albert Falls, the founder of the blah, 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 blah. When they did that, when they did the Albert Falls joke in there, it was more of Trader Sam's was much more of just a lot of inside jokes. It was all about Jungle Cruise, Adventureland, the Adventurers Club. So they threw in their own little things. The Albert Falls statue is a great one. The umbrella, though, is one of my favorite things. Return to Chief Nami. So at Disneyland and Jungle Cruise, it was always Trader Sam was the head salesman. In Florida, at the Magic Kingdom, I've never heard that this is the official story or the official reason, but Trader Sam was originally Chief Name here because they didn't have a name for him. They made him Name.
Oh, very cute.
Name. Yeah. And we showed him from the Jingle Cruise where he's holding the umbrella.
Mhm.
So in Trader Sam's, they put an umbrella up there that said "Return to Chief Name," which was an odd to out here, even though they had just changed over Chief Name to Trader Sam here.
Gotcha.
And there is also one more Trader Sam in front of the pyramid. So this is Trader Sam, the head salesman in Disneyland, in front of the Indiana Jones attraction at Tokyo Disney Sea. So what they did was kind of pay attention to where Chief Name could go. And since there is the Tokyo gets a reference for that also.
Right. Very cool.
Thank
Nice
you,
nods.
Jeremiah.
I know that Shelley had mentioned the windows above the restaurant, and just to let people know, those make a nod to the original team behind the attraction. Bill Evans, who was the horticulturalist, who really was the brains behind bringing in all the variety of plants to create this sensation that you were no longer in Southern California, but were in the wilds of Africa or the Amazon.
That's Bill Evans right there, by the way.
And also Harper Goff is given a nod up there and he's known for his design of the original boats, and of course Mark Davis, who we've already spoken
The
about.
one and only.
But those are some of the names that you'll find on those windows that that Shelley mentioned as you walk in. So lots of tidbits in Skipper Cantina itself. So if you are a fan of the Jungle Cruise, try and get a reservation there. Not only is it a lovely air conditioned environment, the staff has a bit of that skipper jokester feel to them. We were told a few of those kinds of jokes as we came in, and the one I was going to share just went clean out of my head, which is really frustrating. But
was it the elephant in the room comment?
No, we didn't get an elephant in the room comment.
If you're sitting in the main mess hall, because it's the Skipper Canteen is set up as a mess hall office and then the jungle room in the back. But in the main mess hall, they have an elephant, like a large elephant sculpture up in the corner. And they're like, well, we'd like to address the elephant in the room. And they point up to the elephant that's up there.
Very nice. So so that kind of entertainment will accompany you as you dine from every now and again, and that was pleasant.
And I was going to say, if you happen to see Jeremiah there while you're dining, please go talk to him. He would love to talk to you about sea in depth and learn all about it.
Ahoy!
Yes, just give him a big ahoy. Say, Jeremiah, let's talk sea. And as long as he doesn't say,
"Oh no,"
you're in the clear. You can do it.
Am I needed anymore on this? Like, can you just do the sound drops each time? Will you just stick a static picture of me like this? Or actually like this?
So a couple more things I wanted to get to. Something that made a lot of news recently, not the biggest deal in the world, but I feel like we should at least mention it. Jeremiah, what do you know about Jungle Cruise boats sinking?
So,
Sink.
I know a lot about Jungle Cruise boats. I just learned some great details about the Jungle Cruise boats here at the Magic Kingdom. Their capacity on a normal, non-limited capacity time is 39 people.
Wow.
Here's a spoiler. The Jungle Cruise boats are on a track. The skipper doesn't really steer, just makes jokes, just Me.
They go forward and backward.
Yeah.
That's what
Pretty
it was. Gideon remembered the joke as the server brought us in. She said, "Sit anywhere you'd like, but I recommend you sit in a chair."
Thank you, Gideon.
Thank you, Giddy.
The water at its deepest, where the track is
Mhm.
4 feet. So when you may see these reports of a Jungle Cruise boat sinking, it's not so much sinking as it just took on, 2 feet of water that people climbed on the seats and everything. So yes, there have been incidents over the years of things happening. One of the most unique things that I know about the Jungle Cruise is if a boat does get stuck, the way they get you off a boat is to bring a boat backwards and load you onto the other boat.
Now,
Plus, of course, there's a disabled guest that needs some type of extra help with that. And then it's a whole other story, and I don't know anything about that.
now at Disneyland, we learned over.
That's funny.
Oh, very nice, very nice. At Disneyland, I don't know about Disney World, but at Disneyland, the pistol shots were used as a way of communication for a while. I can't speak to the current status, but it would be if 2 shots would indicate that whatever journey was traveling was fine. 3 shots would indicate there was something in the way that was keeping them from being able to travel. So they had, so as guests, if you heard more than 2 shots as a pass holder, you're like, oh, something's up at the cruise. And one time we were sitting at the Fantasmic balcony. We had done the Fantasmic dessert buffet, and the people who were joining us at the buffet were at the Jungle Cruise. And we heard the shots that would indicate that it was not smooth sailing. And we were wondering if it was our dining companions. And it actually was. And they ended up, like you say, the boat had to back up, as I recall, and they had to transfer to the second boat. And then they got there like just as the, welcome to Fantasmic, it was very, 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 very close timing for them. But yeah, it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, wait, we didn't hear the right number of shots. Wonder if they were on that boat or had already gotten through.
And that reminds me that one of the cool things, my personal thing I like about Disneyland is you're outside the park. There's certain things you can hear from inside the park, outside the park that just kind of make you feel good. So like obviously you can hear the clang, 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 clang of the train when it's coming into Main Street. You
The
can
Mark
hear
Twain whistle.
woo of the Mark Twain whistle.
Yes, it's
That's
delightful,
really
just
cool.
like-
Why can't we have audio of that?
I'd rather play.
And
Yeah.
then of course you can hear the pop of the Jungle Cruise all the way outside, and that's just kind of cool.
You can also hear like the animals, right? The ooh kind of sounds.
I only remember that on the train.
I feel like when you're
That might have been me.
when you're kind of in some of the others, like maybe the parking lot at times, you could if the weather conditions were such.
Yeah.
You remember there's this Disneyland is so weird in that the Southern California weather conditions would change the way the sound traveled. So there would be times of the year where you could be like in the farthest corner of the Disneyland parking lot, like what is now the inside out attraction.
Right, whirlwind, yeah.
You could stand there and you could like hear quite clearly Fantasmic.
Yes.
Like perfectly.
So I live down Harbor Boulevard, if anybody is familiar with Anaheim, almost to the 91, and if the wind was blowing the right way, I could hear the Mark Twain whistle.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
It's one of those really weird and wacky things. How does
Do you know anything about how the control systems for the animatronics at Jungle Cruise, Jeremiah?
They are on the sensors
Mhm.
most of the time. So when they break the sensor, that's what triggers it. The elephants don't just constantly talk and then wait. Oh, talk again. Yeah. It's as soon as they pass and they break the photo eye.
If you want to hear a fun story about some of the ways that things didn't quite work right, look for Bob Gurr Jungle Cruise Hippo's Moon.
Happy birthday, Bob Gurr.
Mooned Bob Gurr on the Jungle Cruise.
What? What did you say, Jeremiah?
I said happy birthday, Bob Gurr.
Exactly. Happy birthday, Bob Gurr. But
And now our special guest, Bob Gurr.
I love his hippo animatronic Jungle Cruise story. But
he's 89 today.
I'll have people Google it.
89 years old today. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that laughingplace.com was where Bob Gurr used to write Designer Times way back in the 90s and early 2000s. And he wrote a long series of columns for us.
Which he then gathered up.
Yes, they're not available anymore.
And became this.
We removed him from the site at his request, so he could create this.
So Bob could create this book.
But much of what's in there first appeared on Laughing Place, so that's pretty cool.
And we're so thankful that he shared them with us.
So
and very, very happy that now everybody can have it in their own house.
So one of the projects he worked on was King Kong at Universal Studios, and we just went to Universal Studios and did King Kong there, Skull Island, and I wonder if there's any relationship at all between the King Kong he created in California and the Giant Kong animatronic that's now in Florida. There's got to be some relationship there, I would think.
One of these days, maybe we'll dig a little deeper at the Universal Park and figure it out.
Jeremiah, you knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. Let's get one or two of your favorite Jungle Cruise jokes.
Oh, dear.
Ooh, go to Shelley first.
I already shared one of mine.
Shelley, you knew this was coming.
My favorite is the you can take pictures of the elephants because they're wearing their trunks. And then I like it when we get a little backed up and they're like, let me show you some of my favorite plants. This one.
Mm-hmm.
This one. This one. And then they just keep going. I don't know why that makes me giggle so much. It always just does.
I invite, by the way, people who are watching us, please feel free to put some of yours in the chat. I would definitely pop them up on screen because we are at the point of our show where we just do random Jungle Cruise jokes.
The one that I enjoyed from our last trip was as we're traveling along, we see the elephant and our skipper says, "Did you know that elephants are incredibly fast?" And then you travel and see, he's over there now. And I was like, "Oh, I hadn't heard that yet. That made me giggle." It was very simple, made me giggle.
Gideon enjoyed this one too. The elephant early on, it's like, elephants have the best memory of all the creatures in the jungle. And then he said it about 4 more times throughout the Jungle Cruise, and I thought that was quite hilarious. I also like that bamboo at Ford's story's tall. Some people say it's 5, but that's another story.
The wings of the butterfly can grow anywhere from 12 inches to 1 foot. That's why we call them the ruler of the jungle.
Yeah.
I like I just had it. Oh, that tiger can jump over 15 feet. Good thing we're only 14 feet away.
I miss those jokes.
And I miss the jokes about that they would make about all the people in line for Indiana Jones and the never-ending
the Temple of the 4-Hour Line.
Temple of the 4-Hour Line.
I think my all-time favorite joke, and this may not have been sanctioned, I don't know, but it was funny. This was like back in the 90s. The elephant's coming up again. Get down, get down, get down, get down. Get down, get down. Jungle boogie.
And then our friend Robert shares this one. Reference when we get to the man-eating piranha. Don't worry, ladies. You're all safe.
I need to mention specifically the piranha edition. I love that addition to the Jungle Cruise. I think it's awesome, especially during Jingle Cruise where they have Piranha, the Festival of Bites. So
when the Jungle Cruise added the piranhas, here's one of those random, because I heard so many stories from skippers. Originally, the piranhas splashed the boat. And they didn't have originally signs that says you will get wet because you got soaked on that. And then one of my friends who was a skipper at the time, I will remain nameless, kind of went to the safety and everybody and said, the water is part of the dark water system. It's not filtered. So I don't know if that should be all over the guests. So they turn the piranhas so the water squirts outward away from the boat now.
Makes sense.
Ew.
That's cool. Tony remembers this one. When you exit in California, just ahead of you, you'll find something really strange. It's so bizarre.
I've never heard that
The
one.
Adventureland Bazaar was right there.
I know.
Then the other one was what? Get out the same way you got in, pushing, shoving.
Does anybody know what kind of
I don't
snake that
think
is? It starts with the letter P.
I like that one. And then somebody will say python.
Oh, it's plastic.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, pushing, shoving.
Pushing, shoving, yeah.
If you like the Jungle Cruise, my name is Tommy, and this has been the World Famous Jungle Cruise. If you didn't, my name is Shelley. We've been writing a storybook like
So my two favorites, and they will never say these again. And I think, Doobie, you and I have done this joke just about every time that we're near a body of water. Coming up, you've got a dock on your left and a dock on the right. We call those a paradox. And you have two people that are waiting to help you off the boat. We call them a paradorks.
They don't do that anymore?
No.
Oh, that's a great joke.
What was the one that they would joke about, where they would talk about the traffic on the freeway? Why would they?
And now we return to the most dangerous part of our journey, the return to civilization and the Los Angeles freeway system.
Yeah,
that was my other favorite.
That's it.
As you exit,
Gio remembers that too.
remember the folks that are, yes. Remember to shoot. Exit
Watch your head, watch your step, watch your language. I had one skipper say, watch your head, watch your step. If you step on your head, watch your language. Remember, there are children present. They may turn around and say something twice as bad right back to you.
Well, that's funny.
I'm going to tell you, as you exit the boat, I'm going to give you the same advice my mother gave me when I turned 18. Get out. I'm sorry. Please get out and take your mother with you.
And then when we were in that period where the guns kind of came and went, you had all sorts of different ways that they were dealing with the hippos. Like one guy, and you can find this one on YouTube. The skipper would lean out of the boat and say, "I'll get them to go away, just like I did my last relationship. I want a commitment."
Well, with the guns,
Jeremiah.
California still has the guns and still uses the blanks, where Florida they don't even do the guns anymore. They have them, but it's a speaker. But yeah, most of the jokes in the hippo bathing pool are the commitment jokes, which are always the best.
And for a little bit, they would do the take his credit card away. How do you stop it?
Yeah.
Take his credit card away. Those kinds of things. Yep, always fun. Always fun.
Doobie, can I steal your big question for a second?
Yes.
Okay. Big Thunder during fireworks or Jungle Cruise during fireworks?
Big Thunder.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
So you're probably thinking Magic Kingdom, right?
No, Disneyland.
Disneyland. I've never done Jungle Cruise during fireworks. Doesn't it have a roof?
I can't remember specifically trying to do Jungle Cruise during fireworks.
It's when you're on the far side of the river and it's off in the distance. It's not like, oh, look, you can see the fireworks going off right next to you, and maybe you may see Tinkerbell slide into a mattress next to you, but it definitely highlights the cruise.
Oh, that's
something to do. I will do that next time I'm at Disneyland.
That's fun. I will try and remember.
And Anderson has a preference. Matterhorn during fireworks.
Hey, I fell so in love with Believe There's Magic in the Stars that I created this list of all the places that I wanted to see Believe from. And it ranged from every little part of the park you can imagine. And then over from the Pacific Hotel, and then the 5 overpass, and the one that I didn't think was possible but ended up happening, Bolsa Chica Beach out in Huntington Beach.
Oh yes. Oh man, it's 3 miles away.
It was 3 miles away, and you can see the Believe. It was weird. It was this weird fixation I had. Whenever it was time for Believe fireworks, wherever I was, I would stop and see if I could happen to see them because I loved them so much.
I want to talk about you jumping in the time machine and going back 30 years to when it was the Pacific Hotel.
It's very
Pan
scary.
Pacific. I thought you.
No, I didn't. No, just Pacific. I didn't. Not Pan Pacific. I don't go back that far.
No, it was the Pacific, then Pan Pacific, then Paradise Pier.
Yeah, but you could stand. It was so cool because the way the fireworks would reflect off the front of that tower. No, it's not Bonita. It's the one that I can never remember the name of. That's now Adventureland Tower. But
Santa
when that
Maria.
9 line would go up and it would just reflect when the 9 line would go up and it would just reflect off the front of that building.
It was cool.
The only thing that matches that is when you're at Bay Lake and they have their holiday fireworks and you can watch them reflect off the front of the Contemporary. Also magnificent. Yes, these are moments in time that I love. Okay.
What is our
Big boy.
I'm not sure.
When was there Remember Dreams Come True?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But when was there a big boy down the road from Disneyland?
Jeremiah's like, wait.
Jeremiah missed a burger joint?
Like, how did I not know about this place?
Jeremiah, believe or wishes?
Remember Dreams Come True.
No,
Nice.
not
No.
a choice.
Believe. Wishes was amazing. But Wishes was a special thing when I came to Florida on vacation.
That's the next show I want to craft with you guys. The next show I want to craft with you guys is a topic and then like a Royal Rumble. We all come in and then we like fireworks and then we each are defending our favorite fireworks and we battle it out. We see which one wins.
What did you prefer? Did you see both Believe and I know you saw Wish. Did you see Believe, Shelley?
I have.
Believe
I
or Wish?
Believe.
Believe
Thank
is
you.
amazing.
And then Believe in Holiday Magic was so perfect. Believe in Holiday Magic may be the most perfect fireworks show of all time.
Wishes Holiday.
Oh no, not even close.
Really?
Not even close.
Really?
Because Wishes Holiday used, well, actually,
Time out.
Small
Time
World
out.
Holiday used the music from Wishes Holiday. Now we are completely off track.
Wow.
No.
See, okay, fireworks. We need to dig into fireworks. Tony.
Jeremiah has been usurped.
Tony coming in and stealing
If not for Fantasy in the Sky, we would have none of this.
That was a boring show.
If you
It was.
My favorite Fantasy in the Sky moments is by Matterhorn, and there was that line, if you believe hard enough and wish long enough, and there was a man who was like just the burliest, like looked like the stereotype of the biker dude, right? And he was standing there, he's like, I'm wishing, I believe. It was the most adorable moment. And then Tinkerbell, does her magical thing, but it was cool. Sorry. I love those moments.
We need to battle out fireworks shows.
I'm serious.
Parades.
Yeah.
Nighttime spectacular.
We've already talked about those many times. I will fight anybody. Remember Dreams Come True, the 50th edition, the full was the best fireworks hands down across any property.
Okay, so this is what Holiday Magic does to people. So that's magical. But okay, remember the 50th? I have never been so blown away by a fireworks show in my life as the first time I saw Remember. But for some reason, it didn't hold up. It wasn't as spectacular upon repeated viewings. I don't know why, but yeah, it's no Believe. So
Jeremiah.
So back to the Jungle Cruise.
Wait, Tony, what do you mean get out of here with holiday wishes? Do you have something against Christmas?
Oh, see, I told you this is for a different show. We're focused, back on track.
Back on the track of the boat that goes around.
We do not run on a track.
It can go forwards and backwards.
It's
no
very
left and
obvious
right.
we do not run on a track.
So I do want to point out one of my favorite things that I've ever done as a kid and then as an adult. Doobie, the picture from Disneyland, the really grainy one that I sent you.
Yes.
Can you put that one up?
Yes.
So this was probably not when I was a kid. This is probably when I was like 19 or something. This is pretty much where the boathouse is right now. And it was the toucan and the alligator was trying to get it. We can still talk about the alligators and crocodiles on this show. They can't talk about it on the river. And then now if you go to the boathouse picture that I sent you. There it is.
Oh, you went past it. That one.
That is the same toucan in pretty much what they
Hornbill.
say is the same spot. Hornbill toucan, yeah.
Thank you.
Hornbill.
Tomato.
That is, when you're going up the stairs, they use the exact same animatronic and just repositioned it there. So and when you're up on the second floor of the boathouse, they have some of the snakes that were also removed for the Indiana Jones expansion, as we talked about on how many episodes ago was that? Was that like our second episode?
Were they HISSING?
I
wanted to show this picture just because I think it's a lovely aerial shot of early Disneyland.
So Doobie is the king of not noticing, like not realizing puns, like anti-gravity or what are some and then the like she won't discover that it's him. Yeah, Merchant of Venus, these kinds of things. But I'll confess to one. It took more trips than it should have for me to get the joke about the 3 toucans being a six-pack.
What, you just didn't get 3 times 2?
I just didn't. I don't know why. I don't know what about the joke didn't connect, but I would just sit there and be like, I don't get it. But I don't want to ask anybody. It took longer than it should, so I'll confess to that.
Okay, good.
I'll admit.
I got that like the 14th time. It didn't take me that long.
And now that's not even on the river anymore.
I know it's not. I'm not even sure they have toucans anymore on some of them. So I feel like those have migrated to they stay indoors at the tiki room where they can sing all the time.
We should do snacks
because of their claws.
No, because okay. Let's go there for a moment.
No, let's not. Oh, please, this debate.
Is it a joke? Is that supposed to mean something because of their claws? No, because they're macaws. Am I missing something?
It's just making fun of the name.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a line.
We'll talk about that when we get to Tiki Room. I think we should also do a debate on snacks, on holiday entertainment.
Yes.
On LP live hosts.
No.
So. All right. Anything else anyone would like to add about Jungle Cruise?
I really want to retire and be a Jungle Cruise.
No.
I really seriously think it feels so much fun.
What would be fun?
I said it earlier. I say it again.
She wants to drive a Jungle Cruise boat.
I want to drive the Jungle Cruise
retirement
boat.
dream.
I think that would be cool. That would be cool. All right. So tomorrow. Why did I say that? Coming up on future editions of LP Goes Live to talk randomly. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., we've got Mando Monday starring our very own Rebecca.
Yay!
And our very own Mike Celestino.
Yep. We've been digging up some Mandalorian news, information, and fun to share with y'all.
And Mandalorian, of course, season 2 debuts this upcoming Friday. So very exciting time in the Star Wars universe.
Hey, that's a good joke. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one.
Let's see. And then coming up shortly thereafter, well, you're busy tomorrow, Rebecca. At 4 o'clock, we've got Disney Parks Talk Live with myself, Rebecca, and probably Jeremiah, our Central Florida theme park correspondent, and Mike Celestino, our Southern California theme park correspondent, as we talk about the week in Disney Park news. And then 7:30 p.m., all these are Pacific time, we've got another edition of LP Movie Club. This week, we'll be talking about I'm almost there. We'll be talking about the Chronicles of Narnia film from 2010. From 2010, called The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. How's that for some prep?
Which I love that we're talking about the third movie in the movies that they put out.
Disney Plus. That's generally how this goes for us. And then Tuesday at 7:30 is a very exciting edition of Disney Trivia Live because we will be doing our episode 49B, which, if you think about it, you realize that that might actually be a pretty monumental episode, but we want to save the monumental one for Saturday. So this will be episode 49B. So make sure you tune in for that Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. And make sure you tune in Saturday at 7:30 p.m. for episode 50. Big celebration. Very soon. Gideon.
Will that be 50A?
No, that'll just be 50. Then we start going back to normal. So we invite you to tune in again next Sunday we'll probably Is this our? We'll talk off air next Sunday afternoon for the next edition of Dig a Little Deeper, where we'll be talking about something else. And until then, anything else someone wants to say before we close this one out?
No, we're gonna announce what our topic for next week is. We're gonna share that with y'all during the Disney Parks Live. That'll be part of that, and then we'll return to our usually scheduled wheel spin very soon. But
look at that cross promotion.
But if you want to know what we're gonna cover, it'll be shared on Disney Parks Talk Live.
It's all connected.
So thank you guys very much.
Thanks,
everybody.
Donna.
Wave goodbye.
Hey, Donna, I'm gonna look more into that question that you have about giraffes because I'm not sure. I want to find out more.
And Jeremiah, did you have fun?
No.
I can answer Donna's really quick. Yes, there were giraffes at Disneyland. They had the heads that moved up and down where they were eating. If you go and find one of the old Disneyland where they took the truck through the river and they filmed the stuff, you can see the dinosaurs that are, or the dinosaurs. There are dinosaurs on the river too.
Really
the giraffes are bowing.
Very
and
cool.
eating.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Appreciate your knowledge as always.
Anything else you want to regale us with before we close out, Jeremiah?